The following video is brought to you by the guys at the Wrecking and Racing Podcast, a NASCAR podcast made by the fans for the fans. Check them out at www.wreckingandracing.com, facebook.com/Wrecking and Racing, and Twitter at Wrecking and Racing. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Racing 2003 season, the 2019 mod, and we are at the very fast mile-and-a-half quad oval of Texas. We qualified on the pole, as you can see. Pace car is in front of us. Brandon is outside in the wreckingandracing.com podcast on the outside there, and we've got a couple of Penske teammates, Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski, right behind us. So 34 laps. Tires are going to fall off. Fuel will definitely be needed. We'll probably split this race at lap 17 or so, but it all depends on how cautions fall. We'll wait for the green flag here, and rolling green flag is in the air. We've got a really good launch on the rest of the pack. Brandon stays with us fairly easily, though. Let's get into turn one. We can keep it pretty wide open here on this first lap. A lot of grip on the opening. But then the tires will slowly start to fade away. Brandon peeking to the outside will give him the lane. He's going to carry that momentum to the high lane. Maybe he'll lead the first lap. We're not really going to push it that hard. As you can see, we've already got the field sort of under our thumb. Brandon does complete the pass. He grinds out just a little bit, but Brandon will lead lap one. And we've got the Penske guys behind us. It looks like Ryan Blaney is trying to stay with us, but not doing a very good job. It kind of looks like a breakaway. I don't know if the AI just missed their setups or what exactly is going on in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, a 4 or 5 car breakaway here already in the first lap. I mean, Blaney's not really rolling over, and Brad is doing pretty well this race as well. Maybe Brad can claw his way back into the top 16 after a couple dismal runs to start the year. It's all about finding speed, finding your car, finding your setup, and then doing what you can with it. And it's good to see Brad trying to do something with it, making the pass under his teammate in the 12. He has to put Brad up to third, or at least he's trying to be. Side by side will pull away just a little bit. And that's the one thing about running single file like this, is we can use all the racetrack, the high lines, the low lines, everything, to stay fast in front of these guys. But Brad does complete the pass. He may be coming up to us fairly quickly. It looks like he's got a head of steam. I don't know how the AI is going to be on conserving tires, though. Brad rolls out fairly early there. He's looking to the bottom. I think we'll be able to roll the top, though. And is that old Truex trying to peek to the inside of Ryan Blaney as well? So Truex is working his way up here as well. And Truex has had a couple of hit or miss races, especially Martinsville, where he just couldn't do anything. He didn't show up, essentially. So, you know, almost an inverted field. We see Keselowski up here, we see Blaney up here, we see Truex up here. The guys that we don't normally see in our weekly series is racing well. We don't see guys like Logano or Harvick, you know, the guys, or Jimmy Johnson, the ones that have really been picking them up and laying them down this year. Even Eric Almirola, I don't really see him. So, you know, it's interesting to see some cars up front here that are not normally up front. And if Brandon and I can't get the job done, it'll be interesting to see if we can get a brand new winner this year. It'll be fairly easy, though. If Brandon and I don't win, there's only one other person that did, and that was Eric Almirola. So as long as it's not Eric, we'll have a new winner. If we can't close this out, laps will click by fairly quick. They're quick clickers, and, you know, Brad is not really falling back as much as I thought he would. I thought Brad would start to drop back a bit as the run continues and the tires start to fall off. Maybe we're all saving tires equally. None of us are running to the max. We're not sliding around. We're keeping the car nice and stable, and we're just letting the race come to us, and at least through the first set of pit stops. Well, the only set of pit stops. I say first like there's going to be more than one. But as of now, only one pit stop required. So once we get through that, then we can sort of see where we line up in the grand scheme of things. Truex was looking under Brad for a second and thought better of it. I don't know if Truex has anything for Keselowski or not, and I don't know if Keselowski has anything for us. it definitely looks like the cars are in order by speed. Although I say that, and Brandon drops back just a little bit. I don't know if his tires are starting to give up. Usually later in the run, this is when my car comes alive. Just managing to keep the tires under me in the early part of the run and have some grip towards the end of the run. And pit road is deceptively tricky. In the 2000 series a few years ago, I spun out in the fall race coming to pit road. Luckily, we were solid in the points, and it didn't really hurt us in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, it definitely looked embarrassing, so we'll try not to do that today. And Brandon picked up a little bit, but staying right here in his tire tracks. This is about where we want to ride, enough to where we can keep air on the nose by driving a different line, but, you know, not far enough back that we lose the draft and allow Brandon to pull away on the straights. I don't know how big a hole these cars punch through the air. In real life, these things are like a massive bullet hole that just, you know, punch through and expand, and you can draft up fairly quickly. And I don't know if the mod makers were able to simulate that with a physics package or not. One thing we are doing is now pulling away from third place. I don't think our times have dropped. It's the Days of Thunder thing where we're not going faster, everyone else is going slower. So managing those tires, managing our run, and just clicking off laps until pits come. It'd be really cool if the game was able to be updated on a by code basis to input actual working leaderboards and actual working replays. There needs to be a really good single or, you know, multiplayer, but a sim for PC that's not subscription based, that's dedicated to stock car and NASCAR racing with a license, or at least modding capable, so that even without the license, modders can go to town. That's what we need. Like, make NASCAR in the Unreal Engine or something, although I don't think Unreal is good for driving physics, but you know what I mean. Like, 2K3 is amazing, but could you imagine if you give that to Simply Mad Studios or the developer of Project Cars, if they got a license or dedicated themselves to a full oval racing experience, what that would be like. All right, let's look to the inside. Trying to catch up to Brandon here. We've left third place. We can barely see him in the mirror. So going for our first laps led here. Brandon's been leading most of them or all of them, and there we go. We led a lap, which is very important to, well, I mean, to stay in the points. Usually it'd be stages and, you know, who's ahead of what and what stage, but the game's too old for that. You know, if you made a new NASCAR game, you could put in the stages and stage points and all that other stuff, and we wouldn't have to calculate all this stuff by hand, but it's for the love of the series and the love of the game, that is for sure. Otherwise, we wouldn't even still be playing it to this day. Still out front, doing well. I raced this track in Vorpex with the Oculus Rift. I saw how Vorpex was able to make this game VR capable, and I say the dogleg is deceptively sharp when you're not expecting it. When you're racing like this, it feels like you sort of drift out, you know, and there's the dogleg down there, and you're not in danger of hitting it. But in VR, it feels like it juts out a whole lot more, and it feels a whole lot sharper. So you're coming around the turn, and you're looking through the turn, and then all of a sudden it's right there, and you don't have enough time to turn away. And it's an interesting experience racing this game in VR for sure, especially since it was made before VR was even, I wouldn't say thought of, but way before it was even streamlined or even thought about being streamlined. So Brandon, down to pit road. He is making his pit stop. We'll go out one extra lap. We would have to drive around him. He qualified second, which means he's in stall 2. We're in stall number 1. So I didn't want to get bottlenecked around him, or, you know, force him to drive around me, or, you know, mess each other up on our pit road entry. So we will come down this time to hopefully a clear pit road entrance, 3,500 in second gear. We'll get a nice wide arc here and approach it as straight as possible. There's a bump down here, that if you downshift too early, it really upsets the car and throws you away. So Brad Keselowski will lead that lap. Doesn't look like anyone is coming with us, so we'll have the freshest tires. There's Brandon down and away. We almost got him a lap down, but he's on his way as we make our stop. 4 tires and fuel, boys. Let's go. Right sides are on, left sides are getting bolted on. I see the cars behind us. We're go, go, go. So we are 1 lap down now. I think that was Brad Keselowski there. And it looked like Jimmy Johnson was up there. I mean, perhaps everyone is starting to cycle through pit stops. So as we get up to speed here, we're going to look in our mirror, see if we can get an opening and get to the high lane. Because if these guys start coming to pit road, they're going to be bottlenecking the bottom for sure. The 32 isn't going to let us on the top, but there we go. We'll swing around to the outside, follow Newman. Okay, they're not pitting this time by. We're good for another lap. We need to clear. Oh, hi, Brandon. He's in our mirror. I didn't see Brandon like close up that quick, so we did get a hold of Brandon. Around Bush and Brandon, a little contact up. He's sideways, and it looks like he kept it pretty well straight. Yeah, I don't see him spinning back there. I don't think we're under caution. Oh, the 38 into us. It looks like the 38 wants to pit. Got into our door just a little bit. We're going to drive around all these guys. So looking in the mirror, yeah, it looks like Brandon is still back there. So a whale of a save by Brandon. As we were going around the 18, it looks like he was trying to go around us, and we just sort of got together. So I've got a pretty sizable lead here as the cars rotate through, and as we cycle pit stops, we should have the lead. And I mean, it's in the mirror. You can see how much lead we have. So we're going to run as hard as we can to put the rest of these guys back on our lap and complete the pass officially. And then we'll just manage because we don't, we're not getting that much pressure from behind, so we can afford to take care of our stuff as this race continues and have something for the end if there is a late race restart. This race certainly isn't over by any stretch of the imagination. Anything can happen. And I mean, Brandon is closing up a bit. You can see him growing bigger and bigger in the mirror. But then again, like I said, we're taking it easy here. We're keeping tires under us. I mean, even if, there you go. Like I was getting ready to say, there's even lap traffic that may play a factor, and we're going to need the freshest tires that we can have around them because their tires are going to be fresher than us. They pitted later. So if we can manage them and have the AI wear out their stuff, we may be put in a better place. So that's the ultimate goal. It looks like there's only 2 lappers so far in front of us. I don't see a whole pack, which is good. We can choose our battles unless they're going too wide like they look to be going right there. It looks like the 13 of Ty Dillon and the 43 of Bubba Wallace. I don't know if he got collected up in that slide of Brandon's or not. I don't believe Kyle Busch was worse for the wear. We'll have to take a look and see where they ended up finishing when everything was all said and done. Brandon's only a car length back now. We'll run moderately conservative. I mean, we'll still go full throttle and everything. We're not going to roll out completely and go into complete fuel-saving mode. But we definitely don't need to push as of now. We'll continue to run this pace until we catch up to the lappers and then probably have to, drive pretty hard to get around them. They're not going to roll over and be shown the blue flag as they normally would be. They just don't care that we're there. So we'll have to impress upon them the urgency of us coming through. So laps ticking down now. We are catching those lap cars, and Brandon is starting to drop back a bit. He's no longer a car length behind us. He may have used up all of his tires, making up that 2-second gap or 3-second gap that he had on us. but still a whale of a save. That was incredible. Looking in the mirror, we could read his door numbers, and when you can see door numbers when you're going straight, someone has made a goof. Whether it be you or the person who's spinning. So we're not catching these guys as quickly as we normally do, which is good. It's less headache for us. Brandon hasn't made any strong maneuvers to show he's trying to actively make a pass, so this speed right here should be solid enough. Ty Dillon is losing touch with Bubba, so if we can catch Ty when he is alone, that's the best thing for us. We just need to make sure to pass them cleanly if we do catch them. Brandon might have lost just a little bit there as we continue to click off. Yeah, it looks like he's having trouble running the bottom, which is indicative of a pushing race car. So if we just run the line we've got, I don't think he can hang. But then again, you can't blame him. He had to run hard to get to us. You have to pass in order to win. And if he didn't even try to pass, then he would have ran second the whole way. He might as well put a good effort forward. And at least he's not getting hounded from third place. I actually don't know where third place even is. I don't know how they get on and off pit road on this track. Being a human, you have an advantage, I think, over the AI of getting down to pit road speed and getting up to speed. I think the AI are a tad bit conservative on their pit road entries, so each race that there's a pit stop that we do, there's potential to gain 3 or 4 seconds easy, and that looks like about the gap that Brandon has on third, possibly more. And that's what allowed us to catch up to the back of this pack when, I'm sure they weren't almost a lap down before pit stops, so pit stops definitely threw a wrench in these lap cars. But glad to see that they are single filed out. And Brandon is now a little dot in our mirror. It looks like he's dropping back, trying to keep the car under him. You don't want to blow a tire at this point if his tires are that worn where they're starting to show cords. It's better to roll out than to stuff it in the fence. But waiting for this white flag, it has to be just a few laps away, I would think. I'm too focused to look. I don't want to miss my marks, even though we have a sizable lead. I have blown a mini lead just like this. Get into the wall, or the car changes over the period of the run, and I just don't have the grip that I'm used to having, and it's that breakpoint lap where you think you've got just the right amount of grip and you don't have enough, and that has happened before. So there we go, white flag in the air, 1 more lap to go. I don't even see Brandon in the mirror, so we are going to roll. I don't think we're going to push Ty Dillon hard at all. There is no sense in stuffing this car when the lead is nigh. So we'll roll out here, look to the high side, but we're not going to charge. So everyone will finish on the lead lap, it looks like, and a win for us here in Texas. That's win number 3. That ties us with Brandon for the year. At 3 wins apiece, Eric Almirola has 1. So let's take a look at the top 10 as they arrive. Brandon would finish in 2nd place. 3rd place will be Brad Keselowski. 4th place will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 5th place will be Ryan Blaney. 6th place, way back there, in Kurt Busch. 7th, Eric Almirola. 8th, Clint Boyer. 9th, Kevin Harvick. And 10th, Matt DiBarito, with an interesting run for sure. So let's take a look when myself and Brandon were charging hard after the pit stops. Here we go. And it was going to be Brandon on the outside of Kyle Busch here. So here we come. I'm on the bottom. Brandon gets around the 43. And Brandon, just a little touch. I think that was like a change in the net code or something. Whoa! Because that bump didn't look bad. Like, I don't think that would have been the bump to send him careening that bad, if you ask me. All right, so here he comes. Yeah, that was it. And look how de-wedged that car is. It'll be interesting to watch Brandon's point of view for this race to see how much wheel he gave it, because we can't see the wheel input on his car. I mean, it doesn't even look like he touched us. Yeah, that was a fault of the netcode, and when, you know, this game says you hit something, sometimes it amplifies it way more. So he goes up, and then it was probably like the touch and then the bump in the track. He almost takes out Newman, gets it pointed straight. And it's quite amazing. Oh, and into Menard a little bit. So let's see exactly how far behind he was at this point when he gathered it up and started to make his way forward. We were coming to the start-finish line there. And let's go to Brandon and see. 1001, 1000. Okay, so maybe a second and a half. It looked a lot bigger than a second and a half. But I guess at this track, speeds are high enough where a second is pretty far, almost, you know, a football field. But quite a race indeed. So let's take a look at the standings. Myself and Brandon at the top of the board with 3 wins apiece. Eric Almirola with 1 win. Your cutoff driver is Daniel Suarez, but 2 points back to Michael McDowell, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, 3 to Denny Hamlin, 4 to Dylan and Keselowski, 9 to Clint Boyer. So from 13th to 20th, we're talking 12 points, 12 spots on the track. That's all that separates. But we're starting to see the gap. Jimmy, Joey, Ricky, Kurt, they're starting to gap. I mean, it's still early in the season. They could do something bad. A couple bad races and they're out. But we're starting to see who the top 16 might look like. But that's going to do it for me in this episode of NASCAR Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you next week for the next NASCAR Racing video. Take care.